You're sitting there, eyes glued to the screen. Your heart is pounding like you just ran a marathon, even though you've been glued to that chair for 8 hours straight. Then the email pops up. Congratulations to Dave on his promotion. And instantly, a wave of rage bubbles up from your gut. Pure, unadulterated rage that hits your brain like a freight train. Don't even try to act like you haven't been there. You aren't happy for him. You aren't thinking, oh, what a well-deserved achievement. No, you're thinking, why him? Why not me? What does he even do besides kiss the boss's ring? Yeah, you're feeling like you're being hunted by a saber-toothed tiger in the middle of the jungle. But let's look at the reality. You're in an air-conditioned office, staring at a lukewarm coffee and a mountain of deadlines. Why does a promotion email make your modern brain react like you're about to lose your only food source for the winter? Why do we hate seeing a coworker succeed so much that we want to do something drastic? Well, never mind. We aren't there yet. The truth is, your brain wasn't designed for an office. It was built to survive on the wild savannas 50,000 years ago. When you see a coworker get promoted, your brain doesn't see a career milestone. It sees someone stealing the best piece of meat from the tribe. And if you don't fight for your share, you starve. Or worse, you're stuck picking at the scraps. That's Stone Age logic for you. But here's the problem. We're running that outdated survival software in a modern corporate environment. We're using hunter-gatherer instincts to deal with Excel spreadsheets and Zoom meetings. Sounds insane? It is. But that is exactly what's happening in your head every single Monday morning. So how do we break out of this evolutionary loop? Or at least, how do we stop losing our minds every time someone else gets a Employee of the Month badge? Hold on, we're just getting started. This is the beginning of a journey back in time. A time when jealousy isn't about being a bad person. It's about life and death. Let's head back to the days when our ancestor first learned something important. We'll call him Grog. He learned to look at someone else's bowl before looking at his own. But wait, before you go judging Grog, remember, Grog is you. He just didn't have Wi-Fi. And he definitely didn't know how to send an email. But the way he sees the world, it's identical to yours. Exactly the same. Let's look at what's actually happening inside our heads. From the dark caves to these LED-lit office buildings. You'll see, it's all actually much simpler and way more ridiculous than you ever imagined. Let's rewind the clock. About 50,000 years. Welcome to Grog's office. There's no coffee machine, no ergonomic swivel chair, and definitely no health insurance. There's only one rule here. Eat or be eaten. Grog isn't a bad guy. He's just a guy trying not to starve. In Grog's world, resources are incredibly scarce. A piece of game meat isn't just dinner, it's survival. If Grog shares that meat, he might not have the energy to outrun a saber-toothed tiger the next morning. So, selfishness was the key to your ancestors staying alive. Or, to put it nicely, an energy conservation instinct. See, our brains were programmed in an environment where more was always better than less. If you had more berries, you lived longer. If you had more meat, you were stronger. Back then, competition wasn't a character flaw, it was an optimal survival algorithm. But look at your modern office. Are you fighting for the last piece of meat? No, you're fighting for a project lead position. A title that sounds fancy but really just means more meetings and less sleep. Your brain doesn't know the difference between losing a piece of meat and losing a promotion. To your nervous system, both are threats to your survival status. That's why when a coworker gets a pat on the back, you feel like you've just been robbed of a precious resource. We're living in a world of abundance, but we're carrying around the brains of people who were terrified of scarcity. We weren't designed for offices. We were designed for the harshness of the savanna. And that is the root of all your trouble. You aren't a mean person. You're just a Grog, trying to navigate emails and quarterly reports with a brain that's still dreaming about hunting deer. So when that jealousy kicks in, just tell yourself something simple. Grog is just worrying about dinner again. It won't get you a raise, but at least it'll keep you from losing your mind over a promotion email. But don't get too comfortable, because Grog didn't just stop at fighting for meat. He had to learn how to live in an organized society. And that's when things got a lot more complicated. Ever wonder why your boss is always the one sitting in the corner office, even when they aren't the one doing the most work? That's not a coincidence. That's a system that's been around since before we knew how to write. And believe me, it's a lot messier than you think. Let's talk about the invisible ladder. In Grog's world, fighting for the top spot wasn't about who was cool, it was about minimizing conflict. If they fought over every scrap of meat, the whole tribe would have gone extinct before they could even invent the wheel. So nature installed a hierarchy. The strongest or the smartest leads, and the rest, they fall in line. Grog eventually learned that instead of fighting, you flatter. Grooming the leader was a top-tier survival strategy. That means picking the lice off their head. It kept the leader clean and earned Grog a bigger piece of the kill. That right there is the ancestor of the sucking up to the boss culture you see in your office today. But then, envy kicks in. It's not just a negative emotion, it's an outdated alarm system. When Grog saw his buddy with a sharper spear, his brain signaled something urgent. Hey, he's got better gear. He's going to hunt more. And you're going to be left behind. That restless feeling, that was the motivation Grog needed to go find a sharpening stone. Envy is just the brain's way of measuring relative value. But here's the problem. In an office, we use that same instinct to measure things that don't really matter. You see a coworker with a nicer swivel chair, or maybe a newer laptop, and your brain screams, "I'm losing!" But wait, here's the fun part. Have you ever caught yourself marking your territory? Leaving your coffee mug here, moving a plant there, or snagging the desk closest to the window? That's just Grog trying to claim his spot in the cave. Your cave just happens to have air conditioning now. Here's the big difference. Grog's resources were finite: meat, shelter, clean water. But career opportunities, they can be infinite, or at least they aren't a zero-sum game. Yet your brain insists something simple. If he wins, I lose. The result? We sabotage each other. We create endless office drama, and we end up getting chased by the bear. In our case, that bear is burnout and work stress. We're running Stone Age software on a modern operating system. It would be weirder if it didn't glitch. You don't actually hate your coworker. You're just being tricked by that ancient alarm system. You're seeing a rival on the Savanna. In reality, it's just another person who's just as tired as you are. They just happen to have a slightly nicer chair. So you're probably wondering, how do I turn this damn software off? The bad news is, you can't. It's been hardwired into your DNA for millions of years. But the good news? You can hack it. The counterintuitive truth is this. In Grog's world, cooperation was a risky gamble. You help someone, they might just steal your meat. But in the modern world, cooperation is the only real key to survival. When you help a coworker get ahead, you aren't losing your status. You're building a network. Look at this chart. In the Stone Age, resources were a fixed pie. You take a slice, someone else loses one. It was a zero-sum game. But in an office, work isn't a fixed pie. It's an oven. The more you collaborate, the more the pie grows. But your brain is still staring at that tiny piece of meat, screaming, "Don't share." That's your stubborn inner Grog talking. That's when you need a cognitive reset. Every time you feel that spike of jealousy because a coworker got promoted, just pause for 3 seconds. Yeah, just 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of? Am I afraid of starving? No. Am I afraid of being kicked out of the tribe? Maybe, but your boss isn't going to fire you just because someone else got a promotion. See it yet? Office rivalry is basically an illusion. It's like trying to hunt a deer with a ballpoint pen. It doesn't work. It makes you look ridiculous. And most importantly, it exhausts you for absolutely no reason. The truth is, you don't hate your coworker. You're just being fooled by a software glitch. You're trying to apply hunter-gatherer tactics to an environment that actually demands creativity and connection. Once you realize this, the jealousy won't vanish instantly. Don't kid yourself. But it will lose its teeth. You won't feel like you're losing your life every time you see someone else's name on a promotion announcement. You start to realize that in this office, your biggest enemy isn't your coworker. Your biggest enemy is that ancient instinct trying to protect you from threats that don't even exist. Now, take a deep breath. You don't need to hunt a deer today. You just need to finish your report. Drink your coffee. And remember one thing. Grog did his job. Now it's time for you to do yours. So there you have it. After everything we've been through, you see the truth now, don't you? From dark caves to skyscrapers, from Grog's charred meat to that promotion email on your screen. Office rivalry isn't a character flaw. It's not proof that you're a bad person. It's just a software glitch, an ancient survival instinct from the Stone Age trying to adapt to a desk chair and Zoom meetings. And believe me, asking a brain designed to hunt deer to sit still and type up a report is a pretty tall order. Don't be so hard on yourself for those feelings of envy. When you feel that sting, just treat it like a reminder. That "why not me" thought creeping in, that's just Grog, worried about dinner again. Smile at it. You don't have to follow those instincts. You get to choose how you react. This modern world is big enough for everyone. Your coworker's success doesn't take a single bite out of your pie. If anything, it's proof that the system is actually working. Next time you get a promotion notification, try something crazy. Congratulate them. Sincerely. You'll be surprised at how your brain reacts. It'll be confused. It'll be baffled. But then it'll realize something important. Oh, the world didn't end. And I'm still here. That's how you master the game. Not by being the strongest or the most aggressive, but by understanding yourself. Understanding that beneath this modern exterior, there's always a Grog waiting to be understood. So stop beating yourself up. Stop comparing. Stop turning your office into a Stone Age battlefield. You're doing just fine. And most importantly, you don't have to pick lice off anyone's head to earn your keep.